bringing you full coverage, I repeat, full coverage of a special community forum which was presented by Compass Productions on Saturday, July 24th, 1999 at the Langston Hughes Institute. The community forum's topic was hip-hop culture versus the civil rights era.
Right here in Buffalo, New York, and I want to see it happen. I think something big is working up on Bailey Avenue. It's going to give all of us to move back.
Yes.
Yeah. Uptown. The Uptown.
Yeah, I've got a recording studio too.
It's a very good project.
Remember them egos. Keep them egos out the house. Because if you got them egos, you're going to bring the house down.
That's right. Peace, everybody. I just want to compliment first the group for putting this together, and I would just give my voice, not as a neutral person, but as a concerned, loving, unegoed, humble person. And the first thing is that we have to seek God first, and all things will be added first and foremost. This whole discussion is all about human intellect, and we're not even dealing with the God or the Creator that made us even on His plane. Okay. What is important, one of my fathers, I have a lot of fathers. One of my fathers said that we're stopping the one thing, and that's the generation gap. That's Bob Marley. The generation gap is one reason why there is a problem between hip hop and soul music or rock and roll age, whatever. And to be honest, there is no distinction and there is no difference. I really can't say that I'm standing up for hip hop, I'm standing up for soul music, I'm standing up for one God, one aim, and one destiny. And within that scope of things, there are different age brackets and their age groups. Now I could get in on all the age groups because it was the soul music who started making us get the permanent thing that was important. They were going to begin to rebuild the miniskirts to these producers. So since we've been over here in this Egypt or in this Western land, all of us have lost our minds. All of us. From Jamaica to Brazil to England and America. All of us right now are operating not from our cultural perspective, but we're operating off of an enforced culture, and we're trying to let our spirit come out in this culture. The problem is that we're trying to be African American. We're trying to fit our nature into somebody else's framework. This whole place is likened to hell or Egypt in the Bible and Quran. This place was created for our punishment, and we're trying to make it comfortable. So what is happening now is we got into one discussion about language and the words. But in addition to language and the words, is it more worse to say nigger or booty and then show your child the image of a Christ or their Savior and he's actually of the opposite entity and normality? And what I'm saying is it more of a crime to say nigger, or is it more of a crime to teach your black children to hate each other? Malcolm X said, who is the criminal? The person who say that they hate somebody else, or the person who teach you to hate your own people? Right? And it's like we're getting caught up like in a small light word game. And one of the things is about empowerment of everybody. Some people say, well, I don't really have a management company, I don't have a producing company, but all of us have power to give the truth whenever we have the chance to. And when you speak the truth, the openly, you shame the devil. So when we have an ability to show videos, we have the chance to do poetry or hip hop, when we say those things, when we have the chance to represent our elected people, God should be who we should fear. And not what any of these people are going to say, because that's the ultimate judge. So the white man, none of your homeboys, none of your homegirls, none of your constituents, right is right. And what happened is God has born a generation going to seek his face and his name. The real problem is that this hip-hop generation is that generation. And the reason I the adults cannot take what the children are saying, because it does not correspond to the facade that y'all been living in. What you have thought has been true is not, and your children are telling that to you. That's how come the adults cannot understand what the hip-hop generation is saying. I'm not saying that it's right, but they're giving an accurate account of what they've seen. Some of them are not even living, but they're emulating it.
No doubt.
And it's very important that people who are in the older bracket come back and spend time with the young people. Because serving white men, serving white women, and white women serving black people, if you're not serving truth, then everybody's generation is going to get messed up. Because right now, in your neighborhoods, it's the white boys with the hats backwards and music up loud. So now the same things that have been happening in the east side and all of the cities, because that's what God, people always do on the east side according to the Bible. Yeah, Judah lived on the east side. Yeah, that's an Exodus. Anyway, what happens is, when you look at what's happening now in Columbine and in suburban schools, the black children are thinking about other issues, and now the white children are pulling those same guns that y'all sold in our neighborhoods. I'm not saying you particularly, I'm just saying everybody. This black and white issue, the hip hop, all of those things is what the devil used to divide everybody. You know, we all forget that we got it. You know, we forget that we God's children, so we get caught up in the small issues. I'm about to read. The second thing is, when we doing music, when we doing poetry, when we in political office, who are you really serving? Are you serving the people around you? Are you serving God, which is representing the truth and the progeny of your race? Are you speaking up for the children in your neighborhood who you don't want to see get maced no more? Or are you speaking up when you can't speak up because the Bible say this, then he's not going to help me with the business plan that I propose, or she's not going to give me the record deal? You know what is really happening? We're all living out of our culture. Our culture did not start with slavery. We weren't enslaved. Now, if you really want to know how we can get back to what's right and what's godly, then maybe we need to look at what happened before we came here. And understand the cultures and the realities that existed before we came here. Because to be honest, Africa, if you look at the map, Africa is the head of the world. It's shaped just like a head. And out of that creation, the same people who might not be governing their own music industry, or who might not be speaking up for themselves, we're the ones who run the world. If you don't believe it, look in synagogue right now. And see how not the boys wearing their pants saggy, and they got their hats in the back. Look at the European children who used to hate the hood, but look at how they're wearing their clothes. Black people run and give the whole emphasis for the whole world. We're on stage now, and what do you want everybody to see you and your children doing? Of course people like this negative music. But because they do that, is that right for us to keep showing it and enforcing it? All of us who went to high school and college know that the Freudian theory says that the children begins to emulate when 4 and 5 years old. So whether you know better or not, when you show that to them, it's just as bad as Barney and those people. How is it that we can know about all of those soap operas, all of those basketball players, all of the football players, and we don't know who Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie, Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré? Oh, we don't have to know all those things, but your children know every person on the Looney Tunes. They know about Big Bird and Sesame Street and all those cartoons and all of those idols that we worship in. That's how we act when we get out. And if you don't believe me, listen to what people are saying. Whatever comes on TV, that's what people are talking about in the street. So we have to be careful about what we show the children. Because a lot of us don't know better. And if you know better, you do better. But if you don't, and they show you wrong images, then what are you going to emulate? Last thing is that a lot of these things are really happening because the man who God ordained to be in control of his head, not to be a master over this, a taskmaster over his people. But our families are in destruction right now because there's no man sitting in the house. But it's okay because the Bible and the Quran both give you solutions for that. They say that the man is supposed to take up on the responsibilities of all of the widows, all of the homeless, all of the fatherless, all of the poor and the afflicted. So if you go into these churches with all of these men and they just sitting around talking to the women, they might be acting like pimps too. And they're not taking care of them. The politicians the same thing. How can you talk about making business plans and your children in your neighborhood are going crazy? Not unless we're really not speaking for the interest of that neighborhood. You know what happens? The truth is an offense, but it's not a sin. So when you hear something, we got to deal with it.
All right. I'd like to say something on that, my brother, which is beautiful because everything really, y'all think it's what you see is not what you get. Mostly everything we deal with is illusion. Okay? Now that brother there, I told the brother outside just now, if you want to get into hip hop, you gotta make commitments. And you can't be no punks, because them brothers up there, when I go up to them studios, you can feel the power on them brothers. And them brothers can feel a punk when they walk in the door. And they'll take you off. I mean, they close to each other. They get like they call them posses. They get certain people. In other words, if you leave Buffalo with somebody, make sure you come back with that somebody. Because when you get out in that world and you start dealing with the devil and that money and this and that and the other, you a punk compared to the devil. He'll have you cussing your people, your brother out, sneaking money, doing all kind of stuff, okay? But if you want to make it, you got to adhere to all those things, brothers. You are a spiritual being. You're not a physical being. You're a spiritual being. You're going to take the only help you got. If you're into health, Selassie, if you're into God, if you're into Allah, you're going to take the only help. You know the things that you were into that you see ain't did you no good. I mean, you get to a certain point where you got to stop messing around because your life is involved. And then when you leave home to conquer anything, you got to go with whatever deity you got. You can't be talking about my brother because we're all out of our minds. And you go in that world in Babylon, you got to be tight with your brothers and sisters because the money will make you cross your mama, your sister, and your brother. And the only groups out there that's really making it so they're legendary, the brothers as much into the spiritual thing as they're into the oral thing. Okay, if you just think you're going to go out there and get some money and come on back home, it ain't going to be that way. You're going to go through a total different experience. And if you come from Buffalo, your experience is going to really be vast. Because there's nothing happening here. People don't like each other. It's like the sister said. All those politicians, you can't point the finger at no politician. If you organize and you have people come and support that politician, if the politician does something wrong, then you can point the finger. But you jumping up in the middle of the stream, talking about what you want and what's going on, that confuses everything. You have to have a goal, a plan, and action in everything you do. If you just jump up and do things when you're talking about money, you're in the trick bag. Okay? So I'm saying that's part of our thing. I want the brothers to go out and rap. But I want them to rap like the other brother said about, what they put two words, rap, educational? Educational rap. Rap that's going to give conscience to people. Not rap that's going to keep them going down in the valley of despair. And if we talking about each other and cussing and carrying on, get in the valley of despair. Because you don't have no equal when you're in love with your people. My strength is my people. I ain't got no other strength.
Peace. First, I'd like to thank my esteemed kinsman for taking my first comment. But seeing as how he's taking that one, I want to address two other things. First, this thing about Biggie and Tupac being assassinated. I want to clear the air of this right now. No, those Negroes were shot. They were shot because they were punished by God. Anytime you have a song talking about me and my bitch, or you go around saying one thing about black women being queens and the next thing she's a hoe, that's evil, and God will deal with evil sooner or later. They were shot. Because I don't care what religion you belong to, what spirituality you follow, every holy book on this world tells you that when you come wrong with your tongue, God is going to punish you. And the second thing, most of hip-hop today, like from your Jay-Z's to your DMX's, all that is really right now a cry for help. Those brothers were never guided in the right path, and that's why they look like clowns now. They are crying for help. They don't know that they're crying for help, and most of us can't see that they're crying for help until we deal with the higher consciousness that tells us they're crying for help. But the thing is, when help is presented, if they don't change, then they have to be taken out. Yeah. And with this, because I'm not a person who just like to talk things, I like to do them, and I just happen to also be an MC. I'm gonna leave you like this. O Creator Most High, whom we give thanks and praise. Please give out the tools to raise our brothers from the grave, and if they can't be saved, then Lord, give out the strength to destroy evil men with this hip-hop gift. Mr. Storm, bless the house, it's time to turn the shit out. Too many talking out the gas and inside of their mouth. How we doing in 99, straight flip strips, and if abominations come, then they straight get smiths. Just like Chuck Brown, when they can jump up and get beat down. By the laws of the Most High, every man is bound. And if you cross the line, I have to lick up your mind. 20 your senses spinning out, didn't catch the signs. It ain't no time for review, so I guess you're screwed. And you can't go back like Huey Lewis in the news. And in the DeLorean, besides, y'all niggas is born. But the problem is the babies ain't ignoring what you say. So you have to get sprayed. Times run out on your liquor charade. You're always yelling paid, but where's your institutions? All the loot you yell is just an illusion. And how can I bless the mic without destroying your hype? Niggas grab Wikipedia and bring the fight. Because it's life and death, there's no games left. And I will destroy you to destroy you, taking your breath.
Peace.
I'm from 18 years old, from the hip hop group. And
Speak up a little louder. Can you speak up a little louder, please?
I'm telling that sorry.
Okay.
We'll lift it up.
But I have more like comments for issues this year, like when you address the Colorado shooting, like I got upset personally because when I interviewed all the students in Colorado, most of the comments was like they can't believe this happened in my neighborhood. I'm shocked that this happened in my neighborhood. And I've been like stereotyped like all my life because I grew up in a good neighborhood. People used to say I was like that, went to like one of the better schools, and I went and called all types of things just for going to school. I actually wanted to get everything. So then I'm a calling nerd, but great. And when they came to my school and interviewed, I came with y'all stood in line and asked you, I'm like, well, you're going to talk to me now? And they blew me off in like so many different ways. Cameras on my hand. Battery. And I stood up there. But I was like, did I be going to school because I was like, do that? Then I stopped up and I turned around and looked back and interviewing people and genuinely, I'm gonna have to go because I haven't heard them, I'm gonna serve, I'm my books. I said, okay. So I went to school, then we came in, the teacher started talking about it, and my teacher, my English teacher, stopped class at the end. The other day I had to talk about it, I was like, well, because nobody said nothing about the class, and she got mad. And she's like, none of the black people said anything. I was shocked that she was white and she said something. Talking about, well, I know they have to be mad because they said, I can't believe this happened. Our kids, and we're not going around shooting the varsity. I just want to touch that. And another thing, like about kids, how they don't, I figure it's because they don't have mentors. Because I personally, my aunt Chris, you know how she worked at the African American Function, always took me to events like this, and she's sitting up here, she'd probably get mad because I didn't know to stand up early and said something. And I'm always doing stuff like in community since I'm like 7. Like mentors, like most people go to recreational activities to show students like how to do better and not to do that and stuff. But I personally was teaching more like arts and crafts, writing and music, like baskets. That's another way. You don't have to always have to like sports and stuff like that. Like you have to go outside and be outside. Show them how to do something in the house. Like I'm always bringing to my cousins and stuff. I figure more kids starting young at mentors because I was disciplined too. Like Southern, being raised Southern, child, getting beaten with chocolate phones. Experiences, so you got this, and she quoted it over at all. But I feel I figure if kids have mentors or more discipline, would probably be better.
I want to say in response to something you said that I'm glad you brought it up because another point I had, and I said a lot of my students. I think we need to look at this for what it is. The idea that being intelligent, being able to read or write, being able to speak English the way it was written, all right, that you're looked down upon as being white. I mean, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard of. But that's what's happened in our community. We've been so turned around by stupidity that we think stupidity is the height of intelligence, and intelligence is the height of stupidity. You know, when people say you're a nerd, I say, you know what nerd stands for? Never, ever retarded or dumb. That's what nerd stands for me, okay? And I tell my kids, I want all y'all to be nerds. Okay, I want y'all to know every kind of language there is. I want you to know everything you can. There's no such thing as too much knowledge. There's only a lack of knowledge. And we have to impart that on our kids because unfortunately, once again, you got adults my age who go around telling little kids, oh, you's a punk, you's a faggot, because you speak in languages, you know mathematics, you think you white, and you talk, look. Intelligence doesn't have color. And the mere fact that you got retarded black people out here who go around putting it on little kids and telling them, well, you want to be a doctor or a psychologist or archaeologist, oh, that's white boy stuff. I don't understand how these same people who stick their chest out about being proud of being African and African American and claim they know their history, if they had any common sense, you understand that science, mathematics, and everything else we talk about so much started with African people. So how the hell can I be a nerd, like learning what my people did to begin with? And I'm saying, anytime you're around anybody who's pushing that off on a kid, whether it's another little kid or whether it's an adult, you ought to say something. When I see adults on there with a little baby, 6 months old, with a Redskin t-shirt, I'm like, my little football player, my little Michael Jordan, I get upset. I'm like, this is what you see for your kid? Bouncing a piece of rubber around a circle, trying to make money? This is insane. You know, we don't value this. Our kids don't talk about being astronauts. Our kids don't talk about being nuclear scientists. I mean, they talk about basketball, being in the movie, being, you know, something light and stupid. It doesn't take a lot of intelligence. It doesn't, okay? It doesn't mean, a lot of people who are rappers, they're not very intelligent either, right? They're not. I mean, you can use words till you're blue in the face. It's not the amount of words, it's the content. It's the content. Just because I can babble like an idiot, I've seen some rappers, they just babble. I mean, they might just be out of a mental hospital. They just babble. When you listen to, you know, because I listen to a lot of music, I listen to a lot of rap, and I'm always looking for the hook, what's happening, what they're saying, what it's about. Some of it's like they got an encyclopedia, just open up and go, you know, that's for me when hip hop loses all consonance and sense, because what it's about is like, okay, they just spewing and hurling, right? It's just to outdo each other. I mean, to me, the beauty of hip hop is the rappers who no matter how long they're flowing, like the brother just spoke, okay? Everything he said was measured thought. It wasn't a wasted word in what he said. It wasn't a wasted word. Everything was clear. I mean, anybody, somebody 90 years old, listen, and understood what he said, all right? So to me, it's the content. I mean, I definitely love anything that's related to my culture, generally speaking, until it becomes bastardized and becomes deformed. We start thinking that knowledge is related to being white. Like, first of all, let's be honest, a lot of us, genetically speaking, have European in us. So we need to stop playing these stupid games about, oh, you rap like a white boy. Come on, get over that madness. We speak English, right? We're African descent. We speak English, no matter what you want to call it, Ebonics, whatever, we speak English. So let's stop playing these games about, because a brother speaks the more standard form of English, that you're being white, that you got to be looked down. I mean, because I don't say these and them. I mean, it's such a non-argument. It's an excuse to separate ourselves. Like, well, you know, you ain't down, you ain't from here. And that word ghetto. That word ghetto is a Jewish word. What it means, I get so sick of hearing this. All ghetto means is a large group of ethnic people from the same ethnic group living together. It don't mean poor, rich, stupid, nothing. It just means if you're Africans and you live together, that's an African ghetto. If you're Jewish, it's a Jewish ghetto, all right? If you're Italian, it don't mean nothing more. It don't mean that you're a Project Bunnies or porch monkeys, okay? So we need to stop throwing this bad at each other like, well, you ain't from the ghetto, brother. I'm from, if you live out in Chickawawa, there's 10 niggas in that block, you in the ghetto. All right, let's stop fantasizing. Let's stop fantasizing stupidity and playing like, you know, it's some kind of badge of honor. Oh, you ain't never got shot, man. Or you ain't riding with the folks and people or some other madness like in Chicago. I mean, the glorification of ugliness is what we're about. Chris Rock talked about it. You know, when he said, you know, niggas like keeping it real stupid. You know, when you cultivate stupidity, and you think that, you know, that somehow that, you know, oh, that nigga over at Mark, man, when he go to college, what nigga, he working for the white man. What you doing? I ain't got a job. You know? I mean, it's like, stop playing with the madness and start being real. When you see brothers and sisters around you who are spouting that madness, don't just sit there and smirk yourself saying, she's ignorant, I ain't saying believe. No. I don't care where I am, who I'm around. If they say something I don't like, I'm gonna either stop and question about it, or I'm gonna tell them point blank, you know what you just said? That was really, really whack. Now, if you don't like it, you can punch me in the head, right? Or whatever you think you need to do. But I'm gonna let you know that I will not allow, if If Emperor has no clothes on, I will let the emperor know he has no clothes. I will never sit in the presence of stupidity and be quiet. All right? We don't have that luxury.
First of all, I'd like to say on behalf of the Langston Hughes Institute, thank you. Thank you to Compass Productions for sponsoring this. Thank you for you all to come out. It's important that we have dialogue. And sometimes the dialogue can be kind of rough. It can have edge to it. But if the foundation is love, then there's always hope that through that dialogue, the truth will strike and we can elevate and get on to the real piece of business that we need to get on to. I think that the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding has always been there. It's there before we recognize it's there. In '69, when they opened up the doors and they started letting the black students in mass, I was told as I went to in that flow, thing we're going to have to be concerned about is being co-opted. The movement will get co-opted, and it did. Okay. When we look at what was happening with the young men and women and babies raising babies, we knew that there would be a generation of young people who would not have a solid foundation, and it is. Today, we got so many young men and so many young women going into prison that we know that the productivity of us as a collective group is being zapped. You cannot lose that many minds. You cannot lose that much energy and think that your engine is going to run on all cylinders. It can't. What would happen if 50% of the brothers and sisters who are in jail now would be let out because of improper legal procedures, because of injustice in the actual charges against them? Could we handle that? So the issue for me in terms of the hip-hop culture, or actually the generation that has the responsibility for the hip-hop culture, is what is the actual vision of the future in reality, not in the illusion, but what is the vision of the future in reality? And are those of that age group ready to deal with each other? Because as the brother was saying, in the 60s, it wasn't all black folks that was hitting the street. So in 2000, it won't be all black folks again that will be making any kind of movement. But it will center with that generation that is 30 and under right now. In the next 10 years, that generation will either make an identity for itself based upon projecting the future, or it won't. Now, the identity that's made needs to be grounded in the wisdom that came before them, and I think that's what these types of forums do, help to bring out the knowledge and the understanding of previous generations so that the younger folks can take advantage of it. But clearly, we are in a crisis. And the only other thing I say is that Dr. Anderson, who is now one of our ancestors, lived out in Cheektowaga, maintained an African village out there, had a little saying on his wall. You would sooner grow feathers on a dog than turn a black man into a white man. That's from the 90-year-old. My grandfather, before he passed, as I was thinking that I was all that, college education, all these different little doors open, being able to hide out here and hide out there, sitting down and saying, you know, you worse off now than I was when I was your age. Now, how can I be worse off having these doors open to me? But then he began to explain when he was my age, the relationship between black people was very much different than it is now. If you came from the South, you had a house to go into. Everybody had a house to go to. Everybody followed the same path. Come out of Alabama, get Cleveland. Stay with your cousin in Cleveland. They said some jobs there. Hey, there's jobs in Buffalo. Move to Cleveland and Buffalo. Okay. Today, you get a call, somebody coming to stay at your house. First thing, wait a minute, are they on drugs? Did they just break up with their woman and she like to be calling me at night trying to start some mess in my house? So the vibe, he was just basically telling me the vibe between people at the time. He said, our love is not what it used to be. So we got a lot of work to do, and I guess to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And the reality is that if you try to put a square peg into a round hole, something is going to hurt. And I think that's what we've been trying to do. So our vision of the future may not be able to be that which we bought from Babylon. And it may be scary to be a pioneer. But if we want to look at the world history and really understand how future is made, there are pioneers, people that go into the unknown. And they always have a goal. They have a relationship with something that they say makes it work. So what do our children see out there? What do we see out there that says it's worth it to be a pioneer? You may have to be that pioneer between here and Africa. You may have to be that pioneer between here and City Hall, between here and Albany, between here and Washington. And what I'm saying by that is that if the old game ain't working, you gotta come with a new game. You gotta come with a new game. And those that don't want it to change, hey, let the chips fall where they may. You gotta come with a new game. So
I just want to say one thing about, a lot of people be getting down on the gangster rappers, and they call it negative rap, right? But them brothers are really rapping their life, man. You know what I'm saying? If you go through some of these ghettos, man, that stuff you hear on them tapes is what they live. You know what I'm saying? Brothers getting shot. I mean, you ever heard of, was it Foxy Brown? She called herself dirty business. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because she get money. It's a job. They doing a job. They get paid for doing a job. The same thing y'all do when y'all go to work and get paid. That's what they do. It's a job. You know what I mean? They live like that, man. They live in their life experiences. Y'all sit up and read Iceberg Slim books, Al Capone stories, and watch John Gotti and them, but that's all good. Then y'all want to dog y'all young black brothers and sisters that's making money, but they making money. You know what I'm saying? Illegal money. John Gotti put on the front page of the paper like he a king or something. That man was a cold-blooded murderer, man. He killed people for a living, but it's all good. There ain't nobody saying nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So we need to check ourselves, man. We're quick to dog our own people when we let other people allow us to do this. You know what I'm saying?
can I just say something in regards to it? Okay.
I want to say
when we deal with us, we may not necessarily focus on the others, but to a certain extent, particularly like for the younger, my younger, discerning the truth from the untruth is something I want you to know very early. So certain things they should be able to put into place right off. In other words, I expect them to feel the vibe, whether it's Gotti's vibe or Foxy Brown's vibe or whoever vibe it is. But there's a point that we got to deal with right now, and I guess this is maybe why I'm saying whether the hip hop generation will deal with each other. You have a standard, and you say this is really the standard that I must keep. So my standard says, okay, I can't buy Foxy Brown. My standard says I can't listen to BLK. If my standard says I'm just not going to deal with all of that profanity, then that's my standard. But I want that standard to be shared. I mean, I'm not interested in being the only one with that standard. I want my sisters and my brothers and my children. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, now, is this a right standard? And if it is, then we just go ahead and share it. And that's what I'm saying in terms of everybody ain't gonna make it. Everything is not for everybody. And the Bible tells you there will be a separation. But it's not, I'm not talking about that mystical separation one day, sometime. I'm talking about straight up and down. I don't walk on that side of the street. My spirit won't let me walk on that side of the street. That's not separation. Okay, that's it. So I'm saying to our brothers and sisters, we love you, but we gotta stand. And if you're hungry, you got a meal at my house. If you're thirsty, you got water. Just don't bring that CD.
But I want to say also, thank God for the power of the enemy. We're always critical of each other. We've always been critical. When we let each other go, they can go anywhere in the world and do their thing. Okay? I'm talking about the power of New York.
Oh, okay. I know we ain't got no power here.
No, I ain't talking about Buffalo. Because we've had our greatest artists come through the Apollo Theater. That Apollo Theater would have been the same thing that they got the one in Harlem, but of course, that why politics get into it. Okay? But the bottom line, we're going to always be critical of each other. And we're going to determine with each other where we're supposed to go. Because regardless of what's happening, we're not critical, we don't determine. Somebody else will be critical and determine for us.
can't be accountable for any of you. But I can honestly say, feel good. I'm on a level now that I wasn't on when I first walked through this door. Because I have knowledge now that I didn't have when I first walked through the door. I have gained new family now that was not my people when I first walked through this door. So I don't know about you. But I'm going to tell you one thing. This is not the end.
No, please.
This is the beginning.
Don't make it the end.
And after we do it again, we're going to keep doing it again. Because I'm going to be honest with you, there are people that has walked by this door since we have been sitting here together that are afraid to know what's going on in here. They are afraid to even really peep in and see it. And they're the ones that did peep in, heard some of the dialogue that was going on, and they kept going. It's free, but they kept going because they don't want this. They don't want you sitting next to each other. They don't want these young people hearing from their elders. They don't want this connection. They don't want it. They don't want us to grow. But see, that's what I want. So that's what I'm going to die doing. Once again, I don't know about you. All right? So with all that has been said and all that has been done, you need to soak up this energy. You need to take it and have it so on you that when you walk out this door and you walk next to your sister and brother, they're like, "Dad, where you come from? Where you been? Who are you?" Because right now you have a whole new shield over you. You know better. So therefore, when you leave here, you have to do better. I'm leaving it up to you to do better. When you walk out this door, you have a community that you have to stand up for. Now you have the responsibility to tell them about projects like this. You hold the responsibility to tell these young people where they're going. You know better. You have to do better. And with that, I just got to say thank you.
Thank you.